Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. We're filming on a Friday afternoon, which is one of my favourite times to film because it just feels like the week has been done. There's nothing left to fear or sort of humps to get over. And there's nothing better than interviewing someone that's got their own prop. Now, I've got today a disco ball with me, and my guest today has got, yes, a shining cube. If you can do better than that at home, do let us know. We will be speaking about the music of ARYEL Moon any minute now after this wonderful little video from the people at Analog Trash. Enjoy.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
I needed that little bop at this time in the afternoon after, a week of heavy work and heavy lifting. How's your week been, my friend?
Very, very good. It's been busy as usually is. And Friday is like the culmination of, what can I say? A long week, but at the same time, the beginning of the weekend that can be as long as the week sometimes.
Now, listen, when I was getting ready to do this a minute ago, you refer to yourself as in the plural because you said you like to be they in terms of the amount of people that you are. All right. But do give yourself a proper introduction and explain that in terms of ARYEL Moon, there are other people involved, and just give them all a little bit of a shout out as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So ARYEL Moon is a band. It started out as a solo project, and I've been using ARYEL as a stage name for many years before coming to Ireland. But then when I came to Ireland, after a certain period of time where I didn't actually do any music, and I thought I was done with music, and that was really depressing. I thought that's all gone, it's all in the past. Then something happened, something changed, and then I decided, okay, so I started writing again, writing a lot of like a big flux of writing, and then I found beautiful, fantastic bandmates, and we formed ARYEL Moon as a band, not anymore as a solo project. So that's really important and beautiful, truly, because what the band is becoming now is built certainly on my vision, on my songwriting, but it becomes really more like a collective of souls, of minds, and of multiple visions.
I love that. That's lovely. Now, tell me then, are we allowed to know your real name?
Absolutely. My real name is Donatella.
Yeah.
So like
You're allowed to put that out into
yeah.
but who calls you ARYEL and who calls you Donatella? If we kind of break it up, do like family members still call you Donatella?
Yes.
Or does anyone, right? So
and lots of nicknames that I'm not going to mention.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's interesting because this question is really interesting because for quite some time, I refused to use my own name. So of course that brings us back to the using us instead of only me, as pronouns. But yeah, it's basically, I think that everything had to do with my reluctancy at that point to accept myself, Donatella, within a bigger dimension of ARYEL. Okay, so now because of the band, I think I'm less afraid to come out as Donatella Cameda, which is my name and surname, and keep ARYEL Moon as well, I can't say separate identity, of course, because it's always part of me. But, I'm not afraid anymore to use my real name. You know,
It's interesting. I've seen people do that in the past. One of my favorite bands growing up is the band Marillion,
okay.
who I very fortunately got to talk to Steve Rothery from Marillion a few months back. But I don't know whether you know of Marillion, but the original singer in Marillion, well, the first big singer, was Fish, a guy called Derek, and his real name is Derek William Dick. Right? It's one of the reasons why I would call myself Fish if that was my name. But if you're watching, Derek,
Understandably.
I'm not. Don't come after me because he's a big guy. He's a big guy. We did a couple of shows, or I did a couple of shows for a band that supported him for a while. So, and I got to see him, and he was like up there. But it was interesting because all of the early albums, he's on there as Fish. That was his identity. He identified as that. He would go out as that. And then there was a turning point where I think he really kind of introspectively looked at his relationship with himself as well as his relationship with other people. And then the lyrics started changing towards being written by Fish stroke Derek William Dick. And on bits of it were written by Derek William Dick and bits of it were written by Fish. Which is quite interesting, isn't it? Do you kind of almost feel like there's a little bit of that play in where you are now?
There's always been this, multiple layers of identity, and never really feel quite fitting anywhere. And I guess for me personally, wearing, the alter ego protects me. So, through art and music, I become as naked as I can. Like literally, that's the purest form of expression for me, and it's really, really much needed. It's very essential, and now I know that it will always be with me because that's who I am, and that's the part that I've accepted also now. Not being afraid of saying my name. But yeah, I think it's wearing an alter ego, and especially if you're a solo artist or you've been working lonely with your music for a long time, then it becomes really like a cape, like even like a not a costume, but I would say like a second skin.
Yeah, a comfort blanket of sorts. Certainly a little, sometimes a crutch. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's like, through ARYEL, I can really be Donatella.
That's a great quote right there, isn't it? Great quote right there. Now, I want to get back to the bit that you said about falling out of music. I'll come back to that in a minute because that's really, really interesting. And I want to kind of pick up on that. But let's pick up on where you are in the world and your accent and everything, because so where's your family originally from?
My family is originally from Sardinia. It's an island in Italy.
Beautiful place.
Beautiful
in the
island. Very proud.
Absolutely. I've got an album that's written all about Sardinia, and that's beautiful as well. So originally from Sardinia.
Yeah.
And you born in Sardinia and moved over here, or?
No, it's an interesting story.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents migrated to the mainland of Italy, to Bologna just before I was born. So like if you ask me where are you from, that's a very tricky question for me. So it's always difficult to reply directly. But so I was born in captivity in Bologna.
Really?
Yeah, because I always felt that my original roots were kind of dragged out my original land and then transplanted where I was born and then raised and lived most of my life. Bologna is a place I love, but I always quite felt like I had floating roots.
Okay.
Just to go back to
And
the
so-
identity piece.
And so, how have you ended up where you are now? And tell us
now
why.
I'm in Ireland.
Right.
Yeah, I live in Ireland, north of Dublin, in a beautiful town called Balbriggan. And on the coast, I see the sea from my bedroom's windows. So I think I found my perfect place. But maybe there's still some hint of Scottish accent, because I lived in Edinburgh for 4 years, about 10 years ago.
This is what I could not work out.
Yeah. Look, imagine the mess. So when I moved to Ireland, people were picking up on my Scottish accent before my Italian accent.
Yeah.
And
now I'd say you've got a bit of an Irish accent.
Exactly. And I love that. It's just literally a representation of myself, of those floating roots. And I'm proud of this combination of different accents.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting because on your Instagram and things like that, you sort of like you're pushing yourself as kind of an Irish band, etc. Right? I assume the rest of the band are all from Ireland, are they, or not?
No, we were partly Italians, and our drummer is Spanish.
Right.
But Ireland is our home.
And yeah, okay. Yeah. And you're all settled in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah.
But you kind of sound Irish as a band, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you sound kind of like that Irish alt rock kind of band, and it sounds like authentic Irish. And then when I heard you speak on some of the things, I'm thinking,
yeah.
And I obviously knew what your name was. So I was thinking, she's not, but that's not Irish. But then I can hear Irish. This is a very strange combination indeed, but a beautiful one. Do you feel like that does actually give you a complete uniqueness in terms of your sound, because you feel like you should know you and that you feel at home with you, but you don't.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Irish music scene is bustling of talent and great bands. And over the past 2 years, I really got to know many bands and see many talented artists, which makes Dublin area and Ireland in general a beautiful place to be in. But at the same time, you might lose a little bit of uniqueness in, so to speak. And I think that because of the combination of not being born in Ireland, but I wasn't really born in Sardinia as well, but still I felt from there all my life before coming here, and then saying, oh, that's my home. I think that's that's one of the features of the band. I guess that some of my bandmates, they have been here in Ireland for something like 15, 17 years. So they're very much, part of the community. We bought houses here. I'm the only one that has a kid in the band, but my daughter speaks Irish. So it's quite interesting, and Italian and Scottish and English, of course. So, it's quite interesting as a mixture of identities, but also from a sound point of view, we really like Irish bands. So Irishness is part of us anyway, because of what we listen to, what we breathe, the music we go to, and the people that we know and that we connect to.
There's definitely that kind of Irish grit in there, and the sort of storytelling and the link to kind of folk and tradition and whatever. It comes out in your sound. But where because you didn't start, none of you started over here. So what did you grow up on musically? What was your what kind of informed where you got to now then?
So
I mean, you'd expect you all to be singing Europop.
grunge,
Okay.
grunge, and for me personally, all the female bands that made grunge, from Hole, L7, and then you move a little bit across other, like the boundaries of grunge and other genres, like Bikini Kill, famously punk rock band, and all the riot movement, so riot grrrl movement. That's what I grew up with. So it was very much load, like very, very load heavy music when I was a teenager, when I started playing. Gradually over time, I expanded my music listenings and included other genres. So some jazz coming in, some kind of experimental pop, or or just the basic Lady Gaga, for example, that you might not expect, but I kind of like that area of quirky pop, you know what I mean? But definitely alternative rock. One of the main influences for me is Sonic Youth. So I literally grew up, with them and love them and still love them. And, more recently, when I was I was in Italy in between Scotland and Ireland, and I didn't know at that point that I would move to Dublin for a job, but I got to know Fontaines DC, and the love started for them, and I've been following them ever since. That was back 2018. So and then when I moved here, then I got more involved with the contemporary Irish music scene and bands, and there's a total influx of music coming in. But if we go back to the roots, it's basically alternative rock, grunge, punk, a lot of punk. I
really enjoyed it when I was. I love finding new music by flicking through Instagram and stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things to do. If someone would like to pay me to do that all day, that would be great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could just do that all day. That would be absolutely fine. And I came across you, and it was for me, it was kind of that, that sort of slightly dirty sound with the great vocal in there. It was taking me back almost sort of like 10 years to Ida Maria. Do you remember Ida Maria from Ireland and whatever? And I just love that kind of punky spirit to what you're doing as well.
I like to say my motto is that punk is my favorite color.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great T-shirt as well.
I know. I'm nobody please steal this, because I'm branding it.
Yeah, that's definitely merch right there, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in the plan. So if I see around, I'm gonna sue you.
Oh no. You always have to have a good T-shirt. I've got to give a quick shout out to Kelsey, actually, who was on recently, because she sent me this T-shirt for today.
Oh, nice.
And that was very kind, all the way from America. The Americans are great at merchandise. I feel like I think we're a little bit behind.
Yeah, we had a gig on Friday, and there was an American guy asking if we had any merch, and we didn't, because we are planning to, but we're taking, like, the band really kind of got together properly together in March this year. So it's all very fresh, and it's going very fast.
But what you got to do is, as you go along, anytime you have one of these great little conversations or whatever, just when those little three words, 4 words, or whatever pop out, you just need to write them down in a little book, because that's what you need for that merch. You just need those things that really pop off, you know.
Yeah.
A great T-shirt can make a band.
We will send you our punk is my favorite color T-shirt.
Thank you. I will wear it. I will wear it with pride. Thank you so much indeed. Now let's get back to that bit earlier on when you said like you fell out of music. Did you fall out of music full stop? Because this is always interesting. Or did you just stopped making music because that became too much in your life? But did you continue as a listener? And then how, if you did continue as a listener, how did that make you feel? Because I went through a period where I stopped making music, but I was still listening. But it becomes harder as a listener because you almost feel like when you listen, you're then pining, and then you have to come to terms with that. Do you know what I'm saying there?
I do. So there's a little bit of that story told between the lines of the second single that was out in May, Eulogy. And that single talks about kind of liberating from domestic abuse. So I guess I didn't really realize how much that part played a role in basically annihilating completely my music, me musically in any shape. Me stopping singing at home, like, you know, singing is, you know, vital for me.
For pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of silencing, and there's a verse in the song, you know, voiceless silence, because it's not just silence, it's silence to which the voice has been taken away from, you know. It's a little bit complicated, but you know, so I guess, you know, I went through that period, and you know, lots of other parts of my identity were a little bit dismantled. But yeah, the music, you know, stopping singing like even in the shower, which is not something that I do really, but I sing when I blow my hair. You know? But and musically, you know, for a musician, for somebody that expresses herself through art and music, feeling not allowed to do it, or it's like it's perceived as not welcomed, you know. You do need, in a healthy relationship, like this is for everybody, in a healthy relationship, you do need the support, right? And and if music is part of your identity, it doesn't really matter if you suck, but you know, the partner needs to be supportive, for full stop. In that situation, I think he went really down, because I had previous times of my life where I had a bit of a hiatus, so I wasn't really producing, like making music or writing songs, but that felt like a little bit of a death. And I really thought, okay, that's, you know, that's over. That was in the past. I'm not, like, it felt like a shadow. And when he came back, and I've written like 18 songs since, like, in 2 years. When he came back so strong, and it was so authentic that I understood, okay, that's a sign. This is not just inspiration. This is really me rediscovering who I am and what my path is.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's not easy at all. And so I'm very grateful, and I feel honoured that you'd share that with me, and hopefully you feel that way as well listening to this.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I can only be truthful, you know.
We can only be truthful to ourselves, and to, you know, and through being truthful, it, you know, that's how we make connection, and we we form relationship with people, right?
And from the listening point of view, I never stopped listening to music, but the listening part also changed to the point that I kind of lost the ability of saying what I wanted to listen to, and just abiding to whatever was.
Now, when I went through that situation, and then it was not totally the same situation as you, but when I stopped making, and I struggled for a long while to just even listen to music for a bit. There were a few songs that kind of helped, or were there at the coming out of that. Were there any songs that were there at the sort of coming out of that situation for you that could kind of really helped you get back into writing again as well?
Yeah, I mentioned Fontaine CC, and I've been listening to them a lot, especially in that period. I was regaining all my all bands, so everything that I kind of stopped listening to because it wasn't agreeable. I kind of said, no, you know what, I like loud music. I mean, I love distortions, I love this, I love that. So I basically, my playlists, became a little bit more similar to what they used to be in terms of.
And what was the Freedom song then? What in there was the song that like really kind of epitomized you opening the door again?
Well, Cranberries were Cranberries were playing a big role at that point, because I was here in Ireland. I was, I just moved to my new town that has a beautiful beach and a little bit of a coast you can walk on. So I felt really, connected, really, really connected. So yeah, I guess I was listening a lot to Dreams.
That's a voice, isn't it?
By Cranberries.
That's a voice and a half, isn't it? I was very, very fortunate. I got to see them like on their first ever tour of the UK. And just, there's some people when I've seen them like really early on in their career, and they just stop you in your tracks, and you think, oh, that's a voice.
Yeah.
That's heart stopping, that voice. That's not just someone singing. That's something completely different. I had exactly the same feeling when I heard Tori Amos for the first time, really, really, really early on. And it was just like, wow, there we go. There's a voice that's going to change everything. Do you think you've got one of those voices? Do you think you can make people stop? I think you can.
I really had a very controversial relationship with my voice, and I didn't really like my voice. I started.
But none of us do. None of us do, right?
No, but I really hated it. Like I have, cassettes recorded when I started playing, and we were recording, in the garage. What I say, literally, I hate my voice, and I felt that way for many, many years. But I knew that, my voice was a way. It was, really a tool to express what I was feeling. Or what I had to say, and learned how to appreciate my voice, not my voice because it sounds different from how I hear it when I speak. But I think I really like it, and I like it even more because of the features that I used to dislike.
That's the way. Yeah. Have you heard that little clip on the old Instagram of Robert Smith talking to, I think Tim from Charlatans, about
Yeah.
when he first started singing, and he said, I never wanted to be a singer. I just didn't want. I didn't want to do it. That's why in the early Cure records, my voice is so down in the mix. You know, and he said, I literally became the singer in the band out of the fact that I'd fallen out with everybody else that held that position. So by de facto, I ended up being the singer. He said, but I didn't like my voice, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. He said, but somehow what I do connects with people, and you just learn. I think every great singer, that's got a voice that just, isn't technically the best voice in the world. We all know those singers that are like,
Oh yeah, I think you want some
on the
genuinity.
on the X Factor and can do and whatever, but it's all very bland. But every singer that's got that voice that just connects with you at a kind of deeper level or whatever, none of them like their voice, or none of them really understand why the audience likes their voice. But but learning that it connects with people and then appreciating that connection, that's the important bit of that, isn't it?
Yeah. And the feedback that you get from people that listen to your music, to your voice, is really important, because eventually that's all that matters, really.
It's all that matters, my friend. It's all that matters.
That's the connection. Once you can create that connection, and somebody that doesn't know you, doesn't really have any association with you, like literally you appear, and they get attracted or captivated by the timbre, or by any or the music, the sound, or the story you're telling, and then they relate to it. That's the magic. That's the universal. That's why I think music is so powerful, because it transforms the personal into universal, which is basically what art really does. But music especially.
Yeah, I think that great music helps us understand the world in a way that we couldn't understand it before we listened to that bit of music.
Yeah.
It's like all great art, it's and this is why, I don't want to get political, but I'll do it for 2 seconds. This is why politicians need to actually start funding the arts again, because if we lost that ability for people out there to actually help everybody else that's just doing their stuff, to understand the world in a better way, then we're going to have a lot of miserable people out there, and it's going to cost us more money at the end of the day.
It is. It's really it's fundamental. It's something that goes back to the origins of humanity.
There you go. We need better ways of funding music. It's very simple, folks. Buy the records, buy the t-shirts,
go to live shows.
Go to live shows. Stuff £10 notes in the pockets of the people on the stage. It's that simple.
But if they have pockets, if they don't have pockets, be careful, because it could become really awkward.
If they don't have pockets, right? Take a hat with you to the gig and pass the hat around, and then leave the hat on the stage.
Old school.
It's the best way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is the best way. Listen, you've been so lovely to talk to today, and time just flies by. What are we going to see probably going into 2026? Oh my goodness, we're nearly there now. For Aerial Moon, what's next on the agenda?
So we are releasing our first EP next week on the 20th of November. So and it's actually only one single from that EP has been released, and it's our latest single, Little Bit Closer. So it's, fairly, big issue for us. We're very excited. We are playing our EP launch party on the 28th of November for people that are in Dublin. And we are already working on new materials, new songs. So there is already what's next in the making.
Cool. So by the summer of next year, we should be looking out for you playing some gigs, maybe the odd festival and whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely, on our radar. We have a long to-do list of applications, and trying to get out to people and let
Cool.
them know our music.
And Fontaine's DC, if you fancy a support act at some point.
Yeah, they have Sprints now as support act. So Sprints, if you are looking for a support act, so let's we're gonna try
work it up in stages. Yeah,
exactly.
Clever. Yeah, that's the way to go for it. That's the way to go. Listen, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's been lovely.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll keep in touch, folks. ARYEL Moon. We'll put the links in on this. Actually, when you're on Spotify, if you're watching this, it's literally your thumb needs to go from there to there to listen to ARYEL Moon's music. It's that easy. But don't stay there with that. Actually, do connect with them on social media, etc. And when physical stuff does start to come out, then buy it. Put some money in the pockets of the musicians. Otherwise, they all disappear.
Yeah.
And if you see them at a gig, don't just pay to go in the gig, buy them a drink. Okay?
Come and say hi.
Come and say hi, because otherwise all of the money that they get for the evening, they're spent on drink. That's what it was in my day anyway. Can't remember anything else about it. We will be back soon with more of my music. But until then, from both of us, thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.